Welcome back to Enlightened Maven, and this is the second video I promised I talked about in my last video. We're going to look at these executive powers, constitutional. I got the CNN video ready to go, where it looks like I don't know if he's a lawyer or if he is, well, lawyer, attorney, whatever. Not quite sure what he is. Clearly, he knows a little bit about the law, but also so does J.D. Vance, considering he went to Yale Law School. So I'm a little confused why we're still wanting to argue over if JD knows what he's saying in his tweet. But yeah, we'll take a look at the tweet again. We're going to listen to a little bit of the video again, explaining. The second time I listened to it, it was talking about a theory, which a theory is just that. It's a theory. It's not a fact. It's something that we theorize or we think. Okay, so even if there is a theory, it's not technically legal because it's a theory, right? So, all right. So let me pull up the video here. All right. Let's get this show on the road. All right. So what we have here is J.D. Vance's tweet from February 9th. So yesterday, 10:13 a.m. If a judge tried to tell a general how to conduct a military operation, that would be illegal. If a judge tried to command the attorney general in how to use her discretion as a prosecutor, that is also illegal. Judges aren't allowed to control the executive's legitimate power. Okay? So, what exactly is the executive's legitimate power? Because nobody's talking about that. And why do we just assume that layman people or the regular American people don't need to know specifics, right? And it's a common theme I'm seeing is we're going to throw out all these big words and all this big information. But those of us who did not go to law school, who are forging our own path and are working things out as we go and as we read. I'm a literate person. I did go to school. I do have a bachelor's degree. I can read. I also have common sense. I did grow up with common sense. So there is really no reason why we can't look into this. Okay. So, oh, I don't even know why I minimized it. All right, let's listen to this beginning part here and hear what he has to say again.
Certainly is doing a lot of work, John, and J.D. Vance is really stepping very close to dangerous ground with that statement, and he knows it, by the way. This is a Yale Law School graduate. So the notion that the courts cannot stop the executive from doing what he wants, the notion that the executive may have the option of defying the courts, that is completely beyond even what the most extreme right-wing conservative theory in favor of broad executive power has ever argued. Now, look, there is a very broad view of executive power. Sometimes it's called the unitary executive theory, which holds essentially that the president is all powerful within the executive branch. But even proponents of that theory do not say that the president is free to disregard an order of the court. If that were to happen, that is a line in the sand. That has not been crossed. Donald Trump did not cross that line in his first 4 years. He has not crossed that line in his first couple weeks here in his second term. But if we get over that line, then we've got a major crisis. And I think it's irresponsible of J.D. Vance. I know he didn't quite go there, but he got pretty close to even suggest that.
All right, so that's just a little bit. If you go back and watch my other video that I did a couple of hours ago, you'll see the whole 5 minutes 55 seconds, whatever. You can also go to CNN. Like, I got this directly from CNN. This is what they're saying. I also don't like that we use fear-mongering words all the time, like crisis. Everything's a crisis. Everything is not a crisis. Y'all take a chill pill, okay? Nothing's going to happen overnight. Nobody's going to do anything that they're not supposed to, except for the people who are already doing the things that they're not supposed to be doing. Yeah, people do things that they're not allowed all the freaking time, okay? So, let's go see what this unitary executive Oh, look, it's already got it up there for me. Theory is okay, and y'all don't go to. You can read the Wikipedia, but Wikipedia is managed by people, and they can go in and change this stuff all the freaking time. So that I don't know where you guys went to school, but when I went to school, we weren't allowed to use this crap. Like we weren't allowed to use Wikipedia. It was not considered a good source of reliable information. Okay? Because I can go to Wikipedia and there's some options in there that will allow you to dispute the information and they have to make a change to it. So we are not going to do that. Um, there's a Legal Information Institute, EDU. I don't normally do the school stuff, but I mean, this is Cornell Law School, so all right. Unitary executive theory is a constitutional law theory. All right, guys, let's look at Mr. Webster's. What does theory mean? It should be self-explanatory, but we're going to look it up anyway. A supposition or a system of ideas intended to explain something, especially one based on general principles independent of the thing to be explained. Also, a set of principles on which the practice of an activity is based. An idea used to account for a situation or justify a course of action. Okay? So, the Unitary Executive Theory, UET, is a constitutional law theory that states the President of the United States possesses sole authority over the executive branch. Now, what is the executive branch, you say? Executive branch. And even though it's right there on my screen, I can't spell, so sometimes my fingers get away with me. Well, according to AI, the executive branch of the United States government is responsible for carrying out and enforcing the laws of the country. And this includes the president, vice president, and various departments and agencies. Okay, appointed officials, as head of state. Oh, that's what it does. Okay, so what are the parts? President, the vice president, the cabinet, and independent agencies such as the EPA, Social Security Administration, Security of Exchange Commissions. Okay, that's the executive branch. Okay. Also, let's just okay. So you have a legislative branch, you have an executive branch, and you have a judicial branch. They are all three different branches of government. Okay. This is to ensure that no individual or group will have too much power. That's where the courts come into play, keeping the executive branch in check, keeping the legislative branch in check. Okay. Congress does not have the ultimate power. It is a separate branch. Okay. So the legislative branch is Congress, the Senate and the House of Representatives, and special agencies and offices that provide support and services to Congress. Okay. The legislative branch's roles include drafting proposed laws, confirming or rejecting presidential nominations for heads of federal agencies, federal judges, and Supreme Court, and they have the authority to declare war. Okay. Now, this is on USA.gov. So technically, it's a .gov website. I mean, we could probably find another one, but whatever. Executive branch: president, vice president, and the cabinet. Judicial branch: this includes the Supreme Court and all other federal courts, interpreting the meaning of law, applying the laws to individual cases, and deciding if laws violate the Constitution. Laws. Okay? Laws. Not everything that the president does in executive order is a law. Okay? Now, there's a bunch of other checks and balances there too. Sorry, I was just reading. All right, here you go. House.gov. This is our United States House of Representatives. This is their definition of what the branches are. Okay? So, to ensure a separation of powers, the U.S. federal government is made up of three branches: legislative, executive, and judicial. To ensure the government is effective and the citizens' rights are protected. Each branch has its own powers and responsibilities, including working with other branches. Imagine that. Okay, legislative, made up of the House and the Senate, which we just read on the other site, known collectively as Congress. Among other powers, the legislative branch makes laws, declares war, regulates interstate and foreign commerce, and controls taxing and spending policies. Okay, policies. The following are legislative branch organizations: the Architect of the Capitol, Center for Legislative Archives, National Archives, Records Administration, the CBO, the GAO, the GPO, the LOC, Office of Compliance, and the U.S. Senate. And also, the House of Representatives, because it said that in there. Executive branch: Executive Office of the White House, or Executive Office of the President, White House, the President's Cabinet, federal agencies, independent federal agencies and commissions, USA.gov, which is that other website that we were just on. So technically, that information holds true. FIC and USA Jobs. Okay? They are responsible for enforcing the laws of the land. Judicial. The judicial branch consists of the U.S. Supreme Court and the Federal Judicial Center. According to the Constitution, the judicial power of the United States shall be vested in one Supreme Court, and in such inferior courts as the Congress may from time to time ordain and establish. The Federal Judicial Center is the education and research agency for the federal courts. Oh, interesting. Okay. Federal Judicial System Center. Okay, started in 1967. Sorry, we're going off on a side note here. Education for the courts. There's educational programs, history, judges, exhibits, courthouses, international. All right, well, doesn't seem like they have a whole lot, but whatever. Okay, so the UET supporters believe the theory originated during the Constitutional Convention of 1787 in the Virginia Plan. The most controversial aspect of the UET is the president's removal power. According to the UET, the president can remove any appointed subordinate officials of the elected executive branch. Several presidents have utilized this power by removing executive officials appointed by the prior president. In 2021, the Supreme Court held that the president can remove top executive agency officers appointed by Congress at will and therefore does not need cause for removal. Weren't they just talking about Trump not being able to shut down departments, not being able to fire people without notice? Apparently, this was done already and was allowed, according to Collins v. Yellen. I don't know. We can read that later. Yeah. Okay, so that's the theory. Now, with that being said, now that we know what that is, again, it's a constitutional law theory. Doesn't necessarily mean that that is in truth. That is just something that explains or reason for why the presidents do what they do sometimes. Because if they are operating under this theory, then no, I don't guess they would be doing anything wrong technically. All right, so executive powers in the Constitution. Let's see. All right. This is the constitutioncenter.org. This is ran by the government. Looks like our government. Okay. The constitutions and the articles and sections within it. Okay, so we're in the executive branch, which is Article 2. And this is Section 1. So, the executive power shall be vested in the President of the United States. Shall hold his office during the term of 4 years, and together with the Vice President, chosen for the same term, be elected as follows. Each state shall appoint in such manner as legislative, therefore may direct a number of electors equal to... All right, we already know all that. This has to do with voting. No person except natural born citizen or a citizen of the United States at the time of the adoption of this Constitution shall be eligible. Okay, right, because this was made back when people were still immigrating to the Americas from like England and Ireland and all of those places. So there was a lot of immigration going on, including unfortunately indentured servitude and things of that nature. So as long as they were a citizen of the United States at the time of the adoption, they're fine. They didn't have to be born here. I'm assuming they put that in there because there's probably a couple of presidents that maybe were born in England or something. Person may be eligible to that office shall not have attained to the age of 35 years and been 14 years a resident within the United States. Okay, so you can't leave the United States, go be a resident somewhere else for most of your life, and then come back and try to be the president. Simple enough. Removal. This talks about the removal, which they're trying to do again. We'll do another video on that. They're trying to impeach him again. I just don't see how we don't understand wasting taxpayer money again for something that is just because you guys are mad. And when I mean you guys, I mean people who are against our president, whom over half the country wanted elected. And like I said before, I'm not swayed either way, left, right down in the middle. He was elected. That's our democracy. I don't understand. Because if it had gone the other direction and the right would be doing what they're doing, they would be saying the same thing that I'm saying right now. Right? So just stop. The president shall, at stated times, receive for his services a compensation which shall neither be increased nor diminished during the period for which shall have been elected, and shall not receive any. I can't pronounce some of these words, but whatever. That has to do with his payment. And then he's got to take an oath. All right, that's Section 1. Section 2. The President shall be Commander-in-Chief of the Army and Navy of the United States and of the militia of the several states when called into the actual service of the United States. He may require the opinion in writing of the principal officer of each of the executive departments upon any subject relating to the duties of the respective offices, and he shall have the power to grant reprieves and pardons for offenses against the United States, except in cases of impeachment. He shall have power by and with the advanced and consent of the Senate to make treaties, provided 2/3 of the senators present concur. And he shall nominate, and by and with the advice and consent of the Senate, shall appoint ambassadors and other public ministers and consuls, judges of the Supreme Court, and all other officers of the United States whose appointments are not herein otherwise provided for, and which shall be established by law. But Congress may, by law, vest the appointment of such inferior officers as they think proper in the President alone, in the courts of law, or in the heads of departments. The president shall have power to fill up all vacancies that may happen during the recesses of the Senate by granting commissions which shall expire at the end of their next session. So that's just part of what he can do. Section 3. He shall, or she shall, we should really change that. It should say he or she. From time to time, give to the Congress information of the state of the Union and recommended to their consideration such measures as he shall judge necessary and expedient. He may, on extraordinary occasions, convene both houses or either of them, and in the case of disagreement between them with respect to the time adjournment, he may adjourn them to such time as he shall think proper. He shall receive ambassadors and other public ministers. He shall take care that the laws be faithfully executed and shall commission all officers of the state. United States. Section 4. The President, Vice President, and all civil officers of the United States shall be removed from office on impeachment for conviction of treason, bribery, and other high crimes and misdemeanors. Oh. Well, that's interesting. So, if any of the people that he fired within this, I don't want to say within, any of the individuals that he terminated their employment, if they were civil officers of the United States, they can be removed from office on impeachment for conviction of treason, bribery, or other high crimes or misdemeanors. So, if any of them have a conviction of that or going, see, that's the wording on this. I can see where they're getting that from, because you might be accused of doing one of these things. Like Donald Trump was accused, Biden was accused, Hillary was accused. Like, everybody's been accused of if one of these things at some point. Doesn't automatically give them permission to remove a president, vice president from office. And I think this section here is the section that they're talking about currently with the impeachment. Because technically right now, even though he's appealing it, he does have a conviction. It's a felony conviction. Do they consider a felony conviction a high crimes? Considering they have the word misdemeanor here? Like, is that what they're interpreting? Is because he has those felony counts, even though he is disputing them and is appealing them, is that enough for them to try to remove the president that the United States wants? Because according to Section 4 here, that might be what they're trying. You can also see here there's interpretations. I am not seeing where anything that he has done thus far is unconstitutional. Because he shall take care that laws be faithfully executed. So, do we already have laws on the books for some of these things? Or do we not? Is the question. There's some debates over here on the side too. Hey, you guys want to know something else cool in the Constitution? Let me see. I gotta find it. Give me a second. They don't really tell you everything these days. This is part of the Constitution. This is Article 1, the legislative branch. So that is our Senate and House of Republic. Not Republics. Jesus, Jiminy Cricket. The House of Representatives. Okay. Have to be at least 25 years old, 7 years a citizen. You have to be an inhabitant of the state. All right. So it. And you see here, they like to, say that we don't know what we're talking about sometimes when we explain this. And I say we, I mean people like me, people who think outside the box and who think for ourselves. Representatives and direct taxes shall be proportioned among the several states which may be included with this union according to their respective numbers, which shall be determined by adding to the whole number of free persons, including those bound to service for a term of years, excluding Indians not taxed 3/5 of a person. This was, as you can see here, the 13th Amendment abolished slavery, and the 14th Amendment provided the representation that would be determined. Okay, so there are some things that are changed, but you can actually see the original within here if you want to come look. It gives you the number of representatives for each state. It explains the Senate, same thing. How they're elected, when they're elected, powers and duties. Each house shall be the judge of elections, returns, and qualifications of its own members, and a majority of each shall constitute a quorum to do business, but not a smaller number may be adjourned from day to day, and may be authorized to compel the attendance of absent members in such a manner and under such penalty as each house may provide. Each house may determine the rules of its proceedings, punish its members for disorderly behavior, and with the concurrence of 2/3 expel a member. Okay. So far, I'm seeing that they're doing their own oversight. If nobody got that out of there, like each house shall be the judge of the elections, returns, and qualifications of its own members, and a majority of each shall constitute a quorum to do business. Apparently, and I had this question the other day and I didn't have the answer till just now, but apparently we can expel members of Congress. So if a member of Congress has been bad person, and there is 2/3 vote to expel said person from their seat, it looks like they might be allowed to do that. Each house shall keep a journal of its proceedings and from time to time publish the same, excepting such parts as may in their judgment require secrecy. So, if you guys didn't know, they do not have to show us everything. Okay? They get to determine their judgment requiring secrecy. And the yeas and nays of the members of the House and on any question shall, at the desire of 1/5 of those present, be entered on the journal. So they can elect not to put the information in there themselves. Where's the oversight? What agency is overseeing our House of Representatives and our Senate besides themselves? Okay? That's crazy. Okay? We have rights and disabilities. I don't remember reading this before, but apparently there's a section for that. Legislative process, all bills, okay, how they handle that, 2/3. Powers of Congress. The Congress shall have the power to lay and collect taxes, duties, imposts, and excises, to pay the debts and provide for the common defense and general welfare of the United States. Okay? All duties, imposts, and excesses shall be uniform throughout the United States. Okay, they have to do that. They have the ability to do what they're saying that they have the ability to do, but they're leaving off. These things are to pay the debt and provide for the common defense and general welfare of the United States. So if you guys watched my video the other day about the USA aid, from what I have seen, can somebody please tell me where in the USA aid that benefits our common defense and general welfare of the United States? Okay. If it does not, then Congress doesn't have the power to touch that money or exercise where it goes or where it doesn't go. To borrow money on the credit of the United States, to regulate commerce with foreign nations among several states and with the Indian tribes, to establish uniform rule of naturalization and uniform laws on the subject of bankruptcies throughout the United States, to coin money, regulate value thereof, and of foreign coin and fix standard weights and measurements, to provide for the punishment of counterfeiting the securities and current coin in the United States, to establish post offices and post roads, to promote progress of science and useful arts by securing for a limited time authors, inventors, and the executive right to their respective writings and discoveries. What? To promote the progress of science and useful arts by securing for limited times to authors and inventors the exclusive right to the respective writings and discoveries. Why is it only for a limited time? And if I discovered something on my own and I decide I want to, share that with the world, why do I need Congress to tell me that I have exclusive rights to that? I should always have exclusive rights to that. If I decide to give it away, I decide to give it away. That's crazy. Okay. To constitute tribunals inferior to the Supreme Court to define and punish piracies, felonies committed on the high seas, and offenses against laws of nations. To declare war, grant letters of marque and reprisal, and make rules concerning capture on land and water. To raise and support armies, but no appropriation of money to that shall be for a longer term than 2 years. Provide and maintain a navy. Make rules for government regulation of the land and naval forces. Provide for calling forth militia to executive laws of the Union and suppress insurrections and rebel invasions. Provide for organizing, arming, and disciplining the militia for government such part as may be employed in the service of the United States, reserving the states respectively in the appointment of the officers and authority of training the militia according to the principle prescribed by Congress. And they have a lot of work to do, and they don't even freaking do it all. To exercise executive legislation in all cases whatsoever over such district not exceeding 10 miles square as may by session of particular states, the exception of Congress, become the seat of the government of the United States, and to exercise like authority over all places purchased by consent of legislature of the state in which the same shall be for the erection of forts, magazines, arsenals, dockyards, and other needful buildings. What are other needful buildings? Exercise exclusive legislation in all cases whatsoever over such districts not exceeding 10 miles square as may by session of particular states and exception of Congress become the seat of government of the United States, and to exercise like authority over all places purchased so if we own it they can just request to put these things up. Interesting. Okay. Powers denied Congress. The migration or importation of such persons as this obsolete provision was designed to protect the slave trade from congressional restriction for a period of time. So this isn't actually It's not in there anymore. The privilege of writ of habeas corpus shall not be suspended unless, when in cases of rebellion or invasion, the public safety may require it. I see. This was superseded by the 16th Amendment, which reads the Congress shall have the power to lay and collect taxes on incomes from whatever source derived without apportionment among the several states and without regard to any census or enumeration. No tax or duty shall be laid on articles exported from any state. No preference shall be given by any regulation of commerce or venue the ports of one state over another, nor shall vessels bound to from one state be obliged to enter, clear, or pay duties of another. No money shall be drawn from the treasury, but in consequence of appropriations made by law, and a regular statement and account of the receipts and expenditures of all public money shall be published from time to time. Um, yeah. No money shall be drawn from the treasury, but in consequence of appropriations made by law, and a regular statement and account of the receipts and expenditures of all public money shall be published from time to time. No title of nobility shall be granted to the United States, and no person holding an office of profit or trust under them shall be. Okay, so you can't have title of king, prince, or marquis, or duke, or any of that without the consent of Congress. Interesting. Okay, well, powers denied to the states. No state shall enter a treaty, alliance, or confederation, grant letters of marque, reprisal, coin money, emit bills. Right, we already said that. They can't impose duties or imports or exports except what's necessary. Not allowed to keep troops, ships of war in time of peace. Okay. Where in here does it say that it has to go through Congress to remove individuals underneath the executive branch? Where in here does it limit the executive power? Let's look at the judicial branch. Let's see. Portion of Article 3, Section 2 was changed by the 11th Amendment, so this portion was changed. I can continue reading all this, but it's not very long. There's only 3 sections. So, the judicial powers shall extend to all cases in law and equity arising under this constitutional law, United States, and treaties made or which shall be made under their authority, to call cases affecting ambassadors or other public ministers and consuls, to all cases of admiralty and maritime jurisdiction, to controversies to which the United States shall be a party. The judicial power of the United States shall be vested in one Supreme Court, and such inferior courts as the Congress may from time to time ordain. The judges, both of the Supreme and inferior courts, shall hold their offices during good behavior and shall, at stated times, receive for their services compensation which is not diminished during their continuance in office. So we can't decrease their amount of pay while they're in their, oh my goodness. So you can have a judge that's been on the bench for 30 years, for example. Not saying that they would have. And nowhere during that time was their pay allowed to be decreased. Which most people's pay isn't decreased anyway. But also, if our country's not doing well and we don't have any money, shouldn't we be allowed to decrease their pay? Like like companies do? They decrease people's pay all the time. Says nothing about increasing though. Apparently we can increase it. But I am not seeing anything where it says that they have overarching authority over the president like they're making it out to be. And these are just the articles, mind you. These are the amendments. First Amendment, freedom of religion, speech, press, assembly, petition. Right to bear arms. Quartering of soldiers, Third Amendment. Fourth Amendment, search and seizure, which a lot of people get confused on that one. Fifth Amendment, grand jury jeopardy, self-incrimination, due process, and taking. Sixth Amendment, right to speedy trial by jury, witnesses, and counsel. Seventh Amendment, jury trial in civil lawsuits. Fifth Amendment, excessive fines, cruel and unusual punishment. Why does nobody think that, like, the Alex Jones situation wasn't excessive? Oh, excessive bail. Can't be excessive bail. Nor excessive fines imposed, nor cruel and unusual punishments. Oh, no. See? Yeah. Excessive fines. You guys don't think, like, over $1 billion and is an excessive fine for one single person to have to pay? That's crazy. We can't even make our billionaires who find loopholes in the taxes pay $1 billion. Ninth Amendment, non-enumerated rights retained by people. 10th Amendment, rights to reserve to states or people. What's this one? Powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution or prohibited by it to the states are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. Oh, okay. No wonder Congress keeps trying to, like, put everything into law. Because sometimes not everything is federal. Sometimes it's reserved to the states. Suits against the states is 11. 12 is election of the president and vice president. Amendments. 13th is the abolition of slavery. Abolishment of slavery. 14th, citizens' rights, equal protection, adornment, Civil War debt. 15th Amendment, right to vote not denied by race, which it's not. Income tax, 16th. 17th, popular election of senators. 18th, prohibition of liquor, which, obviously was. 19th Amendment, women's right to vote. 20th, presidential term, succession, and assembly of Congress. 21st, repeal of the prohibition. Two-term limit on presidency. 23rd Amendment is presidential vote for D.C. 24th, abolition of poll taxes. 25th, presidential disability and secession. 26th, right to vote at 18. 18, y'all. Not 17, not 16. 18. 18. We're 18 years or older. Congressional this is one of my favorites, y'all. 27th Amendment, congressional compensation. No law varying the compensation of services of the senators and representatives shall take effect until an election of representatives has intervened. So, they can't change their compensation until everybody's been elected. Then they can vote on it and change their pay. Just throwing it out there. Alright, I am not. This is the election, but it doesn't talk about the rights. speedy trial, grand jury, due process, self-incrimination. Y'all see that peaceably to assemble, right? Peaceably! Right to the peaceably assemble. Freedom of speech. And we can petition the government for a redress of grievances. Yeah. So I'm not seeing anything. No poll text. And I'm going to keep scrolling up and down, but I am not seeing anything that discusses anywhere in the Constitution where the president is out of line to do what he's doing. And just so you guys know, they can't take your land without just compensation. Just throwing it out there. Um, yeah, I'm not. Nothing. Not seeing nothing. Mm-hmm. Nothing. More in the Constitution. Let's see. See if there's anything in here. Look, there's a course that you can take. Interactive Constitution. Yeah, I wonder what the facts and questions say. Constitution, Declaration of Independence. Alright, y'all. I have looked for like 45 minutes to try and find where the president is being unconstitutional in his executive orders over the executive branch. Like, I'm not seeing it. So, maybe they're talking about a law that Congress passed having to do with the removal of elected officials. And it has absolutely nothing to do with the Constitution. And who thinks that it is just acceptable for our branches of government to, how should I put this? Put powers into a specific branch of our government and say that no other branch can touch it. You guys are supposed to be working together. Okay? And for the safety of public, the executive branch is allowed to do certain things for the American people. And I just, if the news, like CNN, is going to tell me that this is unconstitutional, or it's on the verge of being unconstitutional, and it's going to cause a crisis, it's going to be the end of the world. Everything's the end of the world. Make it make sense. Show me where, constitutionally, he cannot do what he's doing as president. Okay? And then I won't think you're lying to me. Pretty simple. Alright, end of my rant. And if somebody thinks that we should look into that further, let me know. But, yeah. So, this is all I have for you for now. And I will catch you on the next video.